welcome to the Town Council public hearing, December the 19th, 2003. Roll call, please.
Dally here.
Bennett,
Oh,
present.
2013, I'm sorry.
Bannon, present.
Sullivan here. Wendell here.
We have established a quorum. This evening's public hearing, we are accepting public hearing comments on proposed ordinance granting an easement on a portion of tax parcel 83A3-10 for the construction of a Virginia Waterman's Memorial. I'm going to read Town of Cape Charles, Town Council public hearing and bid acceptance pursuant to section 15.2-1800 of the Code of Virginia. The Cape Charles Town Council will hold a public hearing at 6 p.m. on Thursday, December the 19th, 2013 at St. Charles Parish Hall located at 550 Tazewell Avenue to hear public comments on a proposed ordinance granting an easement on a portion of tax parcel 83A3-10 as described below in connection with the erection of a Virginia Waterman's Memorial. This item will be discussed and brought to a vote for adoption of the ordinance at a special meeting immediately following the public hearing. Pursuant to sections 15.2-2100 and 2101 of the Code of Virginia, the Cape Charles Town Council will accept bids for an easement on a portion of tax parcel 83A3-10 at latitude 37 degrees 15.908 minutes north and longitude 76 degrees 1.089 minutes west. Bids must be received in the clerk's office at 2 Plum Street, Cape Charles, Virginia 23310 by 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on December the 19th, 2013. The full text of the proposed ordinance and drafts of the easement, including depiction of the easement area for which bids are being accepted, are available for review in the clerk's office and online at www.capecharles.org. For additional questions, you can also call 331-3259, extension 15 or extension 24. The Kuhn Town Clerk. Do we have any?
We have one person signed up, David Gay.
You want to share mine?
He signed up to speak.
Oh, we did, oh, sorry.
For the public comment, excuse me, for the public comment piece, this is only for the Watermans?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I signed up, I was looking at.
Oh, you wanted the other?
The
The
regular.
other one, I'm sorry.
Okay, just sign up on the regular one, yeah. That happens. We have no one signed up for public comments. No.
Move adjourned.
Do you have any objections? Consider this adjourned by unanimous consent. Now we will go into the Town Council regular meeting, December the 19th, 2013. Roll call, please.
Dally here.
Bennett, present.
Bannon, present.
Sullivan, present. Wendell here.
We've established a quorum. Please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. We ask you, O Lord, to guide this council with justice and concern. Bless our town and our citizens, and my own town be a place of hope and joy. This we ask in your honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we would like to recognize the visitors, Northampton County High School Junior ROTC, Lieutenant Colonel Hodgson.
Yes, thank you very much. If I can take a moment of your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. My name is retired Lieutenant Colonel James Michael Hobson. Thank you very much, council members, for allowing me to take a few minutes of your time to just address some issues, of just one issue that the Junior Army Reserve Training Corps is having. Obviously, the program was started last school year, and it enrolled at that time approximately 40 cadets. This school year, we have increased in our cadet population, which is approximately 50 cadets, gender-wise, male and female, grades from 9 through 12. Unfortunately, because of, and you all well know, cutbacks that the military has occurred, I'd just like to read this letter that I've addressed to some of the businesses in the area, and it states very simply, Northampton High School, a JROTC program, is one of the most recent and most prestigious cadet corps on the Eastern Shore. And I might add, it's the only cadet corps on the Eastern Shore at this time. However, due to the wars in various countries and activities from the military, which we were supposed to get most of our funding, which we are not, unfortunately, the JROTC program units all across the United States have had budget cuts. Our budget cuts this school year have come to the point that we have a shortage of funds for our JROTC activities. Unfortunately, this is where I would like to ask for your help, council members. On behalf of our organization, I would like to request a donation of any amount from your council members for a series of events that we're trying to attend over the next several months. This includes events like Military Ball, which we will have in March, currently scheduled to be held at the American Legion 56. Attend our award ceremony that when we invite all of the family members of the cadets to watch their sons and daughters receive awards at the high school in the auditorium. And of course, for our extracurricular activities, we have drill competitions which we compete against other JROTC programs across the bay and also further up north in Baltimore and Delaware. Our organization is a non-profit organization that seeks to empower the youth as a leading force in moving our country forward. Now, we believe that the youth is the key to the national development, and we want to harness and enrich their skills and knowledge within the Northampton High School. Therefore, again, we are requesting, if it's possible, donations for the program. If it does occur, for more information concerning donations, I will leave this letter for you. And you can also contact the Northampton High School and speak to myself or Master Sergeant Hightower, who was the initial instructor who started the program last year. And as I said, I came on this year to augment the program. And I have my information, telephone number, and where to send the money to, if at all possible. And I thank you for the short time that you have given me. Are there any questions?
Colonel, do you know what your budget shortfall is for the year?
We're up about $5,000. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Question?
Has the Board of Supervisors made a donation?
Not yet. I'm going to speak to them as well. You're on my first docket.
Would you give that information to the clerk?
Okay.
She'll make sure we get it.
All right. If there are no more further questions, thank you very much for entertaining this matter. And I wish you all a happy Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, and Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
You too.
Okay. Nice seeing you.
Watch your feet going out of town.
Absolutely.
We're all here.
No, but I have to tell you.
Maybe.
At this time, we will accept public comment. 3 minutes, keep it clean. put Mr. Gay on that one, please.
Okay, David Gay?
Thank you all. This is a letter that I put together to the mayor of Cape Charles and to the town council. And it's in support for enacting a town ordinance in favor of backyard chickens. Madam Mayor and members of the town council, I want to publicly support the proposal to enact a town ordinance to permit backyard chickens within the town limits. There are several reasons why I support this effort. By allowing backyard chickens, we show that we are a progressive community that supports sustainable living. We can use this opportunity to differentiate our community to those potential home buyers who are looking for a home where they can raise their chickens. In fact, some realtors have indicated that communities that allow backyard chickens can command higher home prices. Backyard chickens provide some level of pest control. Chickens eat pests like ticks, flies, fleas, and mosquitoes. They could lessen the amount of pesticides used by the town to control the ponds in the park, thus saving the town money and creating a healthier atmosphere for us to breed. Backyard chickens enrich the environment by creating fertilizer and tilling the soil naturally, without the use of commercial chemicals to pollute the seafood in the bay. They're just like the seabirds that we see on the beach every day. They eat table scraps that can be diverted from our landfill and save the town from collection and dumping fees. Many studies have shown that free-range chickens produce better eggs. They're hormone-free, have 1/3 less cholesterol, 1/4 less saturated fat, 2/3 more vitamin A, 2 times more omega-3 fatty acids, 3 times more vitamin E, and 7 times more beta-carotene. Raising backyard chickens can also be educational and a fun activity for our children. We might even want to consider a coop at the New Roots Garden Center. Many enlightened cities and towns in Virginia have already allowed backyard chickens, and they have ordinances that they've passed, such as Richmond, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Charlottesville, Virginia Beach, Petersburg, Fredericksburg, Roanoke, Warrenton, Lynchburg, Oakton, Ashburn, Reston, Herndon, Falls Church, Alexandria, and Blacksburg, just to name a few. There's several other counties that have ordinances for these as well.
30 seconds, David.
Thank you. Shouldn't we lead the way on the Eastern Shore? Thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you.
Stephanie Hatton.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the one with the chickens, if you don't already know. I'm just going to simply read this petition that I've been circulating. I'm not the petition type, but Mr. Testerman suggested that I gather signatures to show support. I have 84 signatures so far. Most of them are from Cape Charles. I did start out at the soccer field, so I have people from Willis Wharf and Quinby and all up and down the shore who are supportive as well. Backyard chicken keeping is a rewarding and educational activity. It is also harmless. Keeping a small number of hens on one's private property, properly secured and cared for, is forward-thinking and a win-win for the community. It's a perfect example of sustainable living and an important counterpoint to the inhumane industrial-scale poultry production here on the shore. Hens are friendly, curious, and productive. They're quiet, clean, entertaining birds and make wonderful outdoor pets. They produce nutritious hormone and antibiotic-free eggs, which currently retail for $4.29 a dozen at the grocery store. They keep yards free of ticks. By the way, my sons haven't had a tick all summer. I have 3 little boys, and every year they're covered with ticks, but they haven't had ticks all summer. So, they eat other insect pests. They provide excellent free garden fertilizer in the form of their composted droppings. Did you know that the average dog produces 12 ounces of waste per day, where a hen produces a mere 1.5 ounces per day? Residents of the R1 Historic District should be allowed the freedom to engage in this fruitful and fun hobby as long as it is done on a small scale and in a well-managed way. Cities and towns, large and small, across the country have been joining the progressive wave of allowing backyard chicken keeping, with more municipalities approving it every day. They understand that promoting sustainable green living by allowing residents to have hens is the right thing to do, and it's good for the health and the image of the town. Some common chicken myths and misconceptions. They're noisy. Roosters and barking dogs are noisy. Hens are pretty quiet, making little sound except for when they lay an egg, they get pretty excited. And some cluck excitedly for just a few minutes. The decibel level of the sound at its loudest is about 60 decibels, the same as two adults talking, and it's not continuous, only short bursts. They're very quiet in the coop at night, out of a self-preservation instinct, by the way, so they make no sound once they go to the coop at sunset. They're vectors for disease. According to the CDC, cats can transmit 16 diseases, dogs 17, and chickens 3. Salmonella is often mentioned, but careful hand washing is a very effective control, as well as in maintaining a tidy sanitary coop and run. They'll lower my property value. In 2012, Forbes magazine listed the top 10 healthiest real estate markets, and all but one allows backyard chicken keeping. If anything, a progressive attitude towards chickens is an attractive quality in a town or city.
30 seconds.
They attract rodents. Rodents are attracted to birdseed and food scraps, but they do not eat chicken waste. Compost piles and backyard bird feeders will attract pests if not kept well. And the smell, they don't smell. Please come and visit my coop in my backyard. It's along the alleyway at 109 Monroe. Take a sniff. Even on the hottest day, they don't smell. And I'd be happy to sit down with you all as you begin to write the ordinance with all of my research that I have done. And Rob has some great information as well to share with you. And here's a picture of our backyard coop. So I can leave, yeah, sure. Shall I leave the signatures? Yeah. Good. Thank you.
I have one comment that was submitted via email. This is from Wayne Creed at 548 Monroe Avenue. It says, "Dear Madam Mayor and Town Council, I'm writing this letter to support the effort by the town planner to create new Cape Charles chicken ordinance. My family in Alabama has been in the chicken and egg business for over 120 years, and I can attest to the fundamental joy of raising these birds. Still, growing chickens in a town is different from traditional farming and comes with its own problems and concerns that we should take into account when drafting this ordinance. First, only chickens meant for egg laying should be permitted. That means no roosters. Egg-laying hens are relatively quiet, yet roosters, during the early morning squawking period, have been measured up to 78 decibels. Let's keep this to just a few egg-laying hens. Another concern should be odor, that this can be addressed by limiting the number of chickens and require a coop standard to be inspected periodically, that is 4 square feet inside the coop per chicken, 2 square feet per bantam, and at least 10 square feet of outdoor space, 8 square feet per bantam. In most cases, a small backyard coop is no worse than having a dog. Limiting the attraction of predators such as raccoons, foxes, as well as rodents and flies are other considerations when designing the coop standards. A study into how this will affect property values would also be prudent. If managed properly, the benefits of urban chicken farming tend to outweigh the detriments. They produce eggs, great natural fertilizer, and are an excellent pest control as they love to eat bugs and worms. Besides, they're just kind of fun to have around. Let's do our due diligence, but I think chickens would be a great addition to our town. Thank you for your time and Merry Christmas."
Okay, that's the end of public comment. Now we'll go into approval of the agenda format. And before I have a motion to approve, I have 2 changes. As you noticed on your agenda, Mr. Murray did not do his presentation. We moved that to January. And I would also like to switch under old business items A and B. So B will go first. And at that time, could I get a motion for the approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? So moved by unanimous consent. I need a motion of approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, additions? So moved by unanimous consent. Department reports, treasurer's report.
The first page of the treasurer's report shows the total cash on hand at $834,726. Last month, somebody had requested to have the facility fees reserved separated, so I put that as $95,216 towards facility fees from the prior year. The restricted cash balance is $356,105. The tax category, we're showing $146,692 earned more than last year at the same time. The meals tax is $155,000. Personal property tax listed at $125,000. The real estate tax at $434,856. Occupancy tax at $38,683.
I have a question before you leave that page.
Okay.
The personal property tax the year before was just $37,000. What's
It could be with the timing of the bills sent,
Okay.
and that's probably what it was. This year we did send them the first week of November, and, I don't remember the exact date sent last year, but that affects it. And these totals were as of November 30th on the front page, so that's part of it.
It shows golf cart decals down by over half. Is that some kind of timing issue?
This is just as of the fiscal year. Most people purchase the golf cart decals in the beginning of the year, between January and April. So, it could be that most people actually purchased them because we did a mailing this year, so most people actually purchased them in the last fiscal year. But these totals are just year-to-date fiscal year, so they don't include anything that was in the spring. The second page shows the current year-to-date general fund revenues at $1,085,000. The expended is $758,000. Public utility revenues $886,000. Expended $515,000. The harbor is revenue of $510,000. Expended $472,000. The sanitation is $70,726 and expended $50,372. And the third page is capital projects. As of November 30th, we have $9,984 towards the multi-use trail for this fiscal year. The other big item was the Gator. I've heard some other projects are in the works right now, so those should be increasing in the next month. And we have $400 that we spent towards the wells, towards the engineering. The next page, I tried to pull some totals that were more recent and not effective November 30th. So I tried to pull some December totals into this, but the total land value for real estate this year was $206,709,800. Total improvement value, $203,219,700. The total real estate value is $409,929,500. The total bills mailed were at $1,140,275. As of the day I ran this report, we had collected $943,342. The personal property tax value from Northampton County for the town of Cape Charles property was $13,783,200. Total bills mailed were $162,207. We had some adjustments, and those will increase. We get corrected assessments from the county as people go in and say they shouldn't owe certain bills. So the time we ran the report, there were $1,916 in corrected assessments. Those will increase. We have some we need to enter. Total collected as of December 18th was $118,116. This is just related to personal property and license. So the amount due was $42,174 still. Last year, we started the credit card processing in the office, and since then, we've processed $194,000 in credit cards in the office, and people have really appreciated this service, so, especially for out-of-town people. Today, we received a $20,000 contribution from Northampton County, and we also received a wire for $12,470 for Landmark Holdings property, who still has over $33,000 left to pay on that property. 2014 business license applications will be posted online by the year end and mailed to existing business license holders. And we closed yesterday on the refinance and new money bonds, combined total of $2,220,000 at 2.65% to refinance the 1992 water bond, the 2003 sewer bond, and add $1 million in new money available for capital projects. Also, the former utility clerk resigned effective December 2nd, and we hired Kathy Frost. She had 2 days of training with the former staff member and has been working with the finance department for continued training ever since. And I also want to recognize and thank Libby Ludinger for all of her extra time put in this tax season. She's been working a lot of evenings and weekends to keep things up to date, and it was her first year working on the taxes, and she did a great job. So, do you all have any questions?
What was the 20,000 we received from the county for?
The library.
Annual contribution.
Was that their total contribution? Did they decline the rest of the request?
Well, that was the total for this fiscal year that they approved.
Our request from last year.
Oh,
So, yes.
We need a motion to accept the treasurer's report as read.
So moved.
second.
If there are no further questions, treasurer's report is approved by unanimous consent. The planning commission and board.
I've just got a couple of updates to what was included in the packet. Historic Review Board, there was no applications received, so we didn't have a meeting. I did have a couple of minor proposals that came in that I was able to review and approve administratively. The Wetlands Board, we met yesterday afternoon. The proposal that they were reviewing was approved unanimously by those that were in attendance at the meeting. And for the Harbor Area Review Board, if the Waterman's Memorial easement is approved tonight, that will also be reviewed by the HARD at the January 2nd meeting.
Any questions for our planner? Thank you, Ross. Anyone else, other departments have any reports, comments?
Dave Farber couldn't be here tonight, so if anybody has any questions.
You know, I have a couple of questions for him, and I'll send them to you.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll go into new business. Item A is an action item, Bayshore Concrete Technology Zone application. The third, hello. Excuse me, I'm backtracking.
Just one thing.
Yes, dear.
Women's Club voted the Harbor third place for best decorated.
Bravo. Actually, that's funny, it's great. Okay, new business. Bayshore Concrete Technology Zone application.
All right. Bayshore Concrete has applied for the Cape Charles Technology Zone Business Incentive Program. The Technology Zone was created to foster town's development, maintenance, and expansion of commercial, tourist, and industrial business engaged in the development and implementation of technology. According to the ordinance, a qualified technology manufacturing business is a new or existing business that has met the applicable qualifications set forth in in section 23-5, and that is engaged in a technology-driven production of advanced materials or products for high technology sectors or fields, including but not limited to robotics, computer hardware and software, sensors, marine technology, aerospace, or any other similar activity which is deemed appropriate for a technology zone as defined in another jurisdiction of the Commonwealth and as found as such by the administrator. The qualifications that are listed in 23-5, as listed in the application form for a qualified manufacturing business activity are: 1, to create and maintain a minimum of 5 new full-time jobs, which are each compensated at 1.5 times the wage rate of the currently defined federal minimum wage, and to make a new verified capital investment of no less than $250,000 in a building improvements, and/or machinery and tools. Capital investment does not include the cost to acquire real property. For this particular application, the expansion of the plant and additional improvements will allow for approximately 135 total new employees, including at least 5 employees compensated at 1.5 times the wage rate of the currently defined federal minimum wage. The total capital investment of the improvements is approximately $4 million. Bedford County, Virginia includes the manufacture of advanced materials, architecture and engineering, and transportation as qualified business types for their technology zone. As our definition stated above, that also means that it's deemed a qualifying business for Cape Charles. And Bayshore Concrete Products Corporation is applying for the incentive that will result in a grant equal to 25% of the new or increased machinery, tools, and tax paid to the town, with a verified capital investment of $250,000 that shall increase proportionately up to 100% with a capital investment of $1 million or more. You saw in the packet the materials that were submitted by Bayshore. They're estimating a total of $1.4 million in new machinery and tools. So by the definition of the incentive, that would be if the technology zone application is approved, that 100% of the tax on that 1.4 million would be recovered by the grant. And the way that would work, they would pay the tax initially, then as I guess the town would go back and review what they've done, make sure that everything that they did meets these requirements, and then they would be issued the payment back for it.
How much would that amount to? How much would that payment or credit amount to on that 1.4 million?
The machinery and tools tax for the town is $1 per 100, so it would come to $14,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
That's based on the 1.4.
right, based on the 1.4. And
and
they, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the representatives from Bayshore are here. for
Yeah, John
questions.
Chandler is here on behalf of Bayshore, as well as Development Advisors, Chris Phillips, the project manager, and Patrick Zimmer. And if we have any questions for John or his consultants, they're here. Any questions in reference to the specifics of the
I just wondered what their rollout time was.
John, do you wanna?
Generally,
Yeah.
For the hiring or for
Both.
both?
Yeah.
Starting a month ago. And it will be an ongoing, we hired actually 30 people in the last 45 days. We brought back everybody who was still on layoff. Their layoff log lasted for a year. So everybody was brought back from that. And we will have the 135 people hired within 6 months. And be in full production.
John, how many people are employed right now?
Right now in Cape Charles,
Yeah.
or, because
In
we have
Cape
two
Charles.
locations, Cape Charles and Chesapeake. We have approximately 150. At our low point, back in the summer, we probably had 100. So there's been other rehires.
When would you anticipate the new equipment and/or the software?
In that same 6-month period.
Really? Thank you.
What is your recommendation?
Well, it meets the requirements set forth in the ordinance, so.
Approves
Yeah,
application.
it is approved.
And it's approved, proposed improvements meet the requirements set forth by the technology zone ordinance, therefore staff recommends approval of their request.
And the technology zone it's valid for a maximum of 5 years, so at each yearly period, we would have to review, make sure they're still meeting the requirements. If at any point they're not meeting the requirements, then it's, yeah.
So this 14,000 will reoccur every year for 5 years?
It'd be the maximum if they were to go up to that 1.4 million. I guess it would partly depend on, as long as there was at least $1 million capital investment done this year or in 2014, they would get the 100%. If it was $250,000, they'd get 25% grant, and then
It's a prescribed percentage,
right, it goes up proportionally to 100%.
so based on what they pay, that determines how much they get back the next year.
And it does also state if the qualified business fails to meet all the eligibility requirements in any given year, the economic stimulus grants for that year and all future years shall be forfeited.
But the 5-year period amount of money is based on their investment of this 1.4 million.
Right.
They'll get 14,000 back each year for 5 years as long as they maintain
Right.
the employment level. But it is based on this, and if they added additional equipment 3 years from now, would they apply for another one?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, this is our first,
Professionals in the back.
I would say yes.
I would say
Would
yes
they
too.
know?
They
This is
wouldn't.
our first
It's our
application.
ordinance.
It's our ordinance.
Right. Our ordinance doesn't limit.
Right, as long as they meet the
They
criteria.
have to meet the criteria for each,
I make a motion that we approve Bay Shore's request for a grant of the increased machinery and tools tax. Based on our town code section 23.6A.
Second.
Any questions, objections?
Just a comment, a point of clarification on the second page. This third sentence when it says the stimulus grant will be paid to qualified businesses annually. That's, that language usually conjures up federal money, but this is a grant that the town of Cape Charles would be providing. So
It's in arrears.
well, money they'd be foregoing in taxes.
Exactly.
So
And the new
we're
year.
providing, the stimulus is coming from the taxpayers
Taxpayer.
of Cape Charles, not associated with any other stimulus
Correct.
program.
I don't think
No,
the money
it's
comes
not.
from
It's not.
the
We're not
taxpayers
gonna
of
pay
Cape
that money
Charles.
back.
It comes from the taxes they paid the
Generating.
prior year.
But it'd
Would
be a
that
lesser
fall within-
amount
That's what he said.
that would be
Yeah, I know what
collected
you're saying.
otherwise if we
Right.
didn't have this ordinance in place.
Correct.
We're foregoing,
Correct.
like in tax
We are
credit.
collecting it and then we're giving them back part of
A letter
the
of
following
credit,
year
right.
based on the percent.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same as, it's similar to
The
the
sentence that started
rehabilitation.
stimulus grant kind of makes one think of.
It's essentially we're foregoing the taxes.
Right.
Of their
That's what I wanted, how I finally understood it, and I wanted to make sure everybody else that might be, anyway, have that similar confusion when they heard or read stimulus in the packet, if they saw it.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Yes.
We do. Hearing no objections, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen, thank you. The next item, chicken ordinance, action item.
All right. As I put in the packet, across the state and country, there's been a growing movement towards towns and cities allowing for residents to keep and raise backyard chickens in residential districts. Currently, the town zoning ordinance does not have such an ordinance, and the keeping of chickens in a residential district is not allowed, as it falls under the definition of agriculture, which is not an allowed use in the residential district. Tonight, we're not adopting, enabling anything. This is just to, if the council wishes, it would direct me and the planning commission to work up a draft, get public input. We could look at all the pros, cons, all the information that there is out there on these urban chickens, backyard chickens, and take it to public hearing. At that point, after having the opportunity to do all the research and see what information is out there, it would give the council a chance to make a decision based on, the documented facts. I know backyard chickens, urban chickens is typically something that just from the onset seems to have some strong opinions one way or the other. This would just give us a chance to present all the information that's out there. We look at noise, odor, diseases, property values. There's different types of regulations that I've seen out there, limiting the amount per square foot on the lot, just the amount in general, roosters or no roosters. I've seen some localities have ordinances against slaughtering or requiring it to be out of view, which I don't think that would be a great one, but it's something to read about and learn more about before we bring it back to council, if you all would like us to research it and just see what's out there. As some of the public speakers mentioned, there are many localities in Virginia that have already done this. Chesapeake just recently, they adopted it at one point a year ago, I believe it was a year ago, and did a 1-year trial period and then brought it back to review to see, if there's any issues, and then they could either kill it then or keep it going. They decided to keep it going. Snow Hill, Maryland recently approved one. I've spoken with their town manager just to get a little bit of the input about how that got going. They pretty much went about the same process as what I'm presenting here tonight.
How lengthy are those ordinances? Could you provide copies?
Yeah, they vary. I've seen a couple that are a page, 2-page, and then there's some that's more thick. I've actually got one document that I reached out to a woman who's done some research on the topic, written up a pretty lengthy report on it and included a model ordinance, and that one's got a whole lot of really valuable information that I think would help the discussion along, give us a good starting point to work from.
These ordinances have any, with dogs, if we have a leash law, what if the chickens get out?
Most of the ordinances require, the chickens to not be able to roam free. They have to be enclosed in a particular yard.
Right, but if somebody leaves the gate open.
That's something that we can research the answers to down the road. But like I said, at this point tonight, I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. This is more just to get council's direction. Any deeper questions that we have, this will be something I'll find.
Which I think is really a good idea, because if we don't have people that come forward and ask, they do it on their own, post on Facebook, and make a mockery of the town government. So I think it's a good idea to do this. And then council can decide if they want backyard chickens.
Did anyone see the article in the pilot this morning? Norfolk has, their ordinance is so strict, they've had no request for chickens. They're reviewing. Two things that hit me was that they laid their productive times are 2 to 4 years, something like that. But somebody says when Miss Click or Cluck is to be past laying age, nobody can send her to a nursing home. It's very difficult.
You eat it.
Okay,
That's the best
so,
thing.
I'd like to make a motion that
Please do.
that the planner and the planning commission review the information that's available and come back to us with the draft ordinance.
I second the motion. All in
Wait a
favor?
minute, I have a bit of discussion.
Yes, pardon me.
Because in the presentations and public comments, there were some things said that are key, I think, to doing this. And it was properly secured and properly cared for, small scale, well managed. I don't know how you define all of that. And coop standards. And I think all of that needs to be part of this ordinance. And I guess we have illegal chickens in town right now.
Yes, we do.
We do, this is kind of how the whole conversation got started. We issued a zoning violation. There was, in the ordinance, there's nothing specifying a time limit of when it had to be corrected by. Since Mrs. Hayden came and spoke to us, and, you know, we talked about bringing it to council, we decided we'd not enforce it at the moment. We'd wait and find out how this conversation went, because, you know, if we made her get rid of them and then a month down the road we turn around and allow them, we don't want to put the citizen through all that.
But that's why we follow the rules.
Right, so we figure we'll wait and see the outcome of this. If this ends up getting shut down, then, you know, we'll be pursuing the current zoning ordinance at that point, but.
And how many chickens does she currently have?
600.
6 hens. 6 hens.
6 hens.
I have a double lot as well.
And just one, well, I think it's a good idea to research it. And, but how much area in a backyard, 40-foot
Well,
wide?
you know, Wayne's letter had some areas, and he usually is pretty accurate in his research, so.
I just wondered how much backyard constitutes free range versus how much doesn't?
I think that would be.
That's when they
That's
put the
their
ordinance,
job,
we're not gonna
that's why
settle it.
we're not deciding
You know,
what they
but
are.
he's been reading, he might have read
If-
that and didn't know.
If we're concerned, we should have a work session first.
Oh, no, let them do that, that's
I
their
mean,
job.
that's one of the things that some localities do. They say you can have X amount of chickens per 1,000 or however many square feet you have on the lot. So I mean, it's just one of the routes that we can look
I
at.
think it's very interesting. It kind of begs the question, what, how do you use ducks next? They make too much noise?
That, well, see,
That's, when we have our work session, we can
Have our
talk
work
about it.
session. Research would yield, does the chicken ordinance lead to a duck ordinance? Can goats be far behind?
oh, goats, I agree, I want goats, yes. Okay, thank you, we have a motion, we have a second. If there are no further questions, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Have at it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, action Southport request.
Madam Mayor, council, we received a request for waiver from Southport investors to respectfully request a waiver from the payment of a portion of utility charges and fees from the town of Cape Charles, specifically on parcels 14, 19, and 20. Currently, we have a 40-year lease of 5 town-owned parcels, which are parcels, 2 out of those 5 currently have existing connections on the parcels when Southport leased the property. And the Southport has received their conditional use permit for the boatel as well as the storage and also dwelling in early January. As you have seen, the conceptual plans for a possible terminal as well as the work that is going on the current town lease parcels. They're doing site work for the storage area on our parcel 17, which is the former wastewater plant. And they're also on parcel 12 of the boat. So this is up for discussion. Previously, we were requested a waiver of the minimum charges, and this is actually a new request on the consideration of the connection fees. And I can answer any questions. The waiver, is in the packet, and
I would ask for a work session on this. We just got this, and I think it's enough. It's set precedence in the town, so I would go for a work session before we move on this at all.
Is that a motion?
I'll make it, I'm just going to discuss, I'll make a motion on that.
Well, I think that at this point, we should table the request pending a work session to discuss what we're talking about here, because this, as Alex was mentioned, this is brand new to me. The waiver on minimum charges we've heard about before, but this is all brand new stuff. We need to hear all of the things that are involved with this, rather than make this split-second decision here, I believe. We're talking about commercial connections. The cost of those connections is going to vary wildly. It's not a residential connection. I think we need to think about it first and discuss it, and then we don't have enough information to do that.
I agree.
What other information do we need?
Well, I would like to know when this is going to be done. We have some comments here that are relative to comparing it to the shanty, and I don't think that's correct.
Well, we did
Two
waive
different
connection
issues.
charges for the shanty. And it was
We
at
didn't
least-
waive any connection charges for the shanty, as I recall. We
Well, you need to-
presented
you need to
a
look at-
RFP with a build-ready plot of town-owned land with water and sewer on it, and requested somebody to bid on building the building.
There was a request for a waiver for that, and the waiver was granted by council.
In order to attract a business. And we did that. But I would rather
Well,
discuss
business
this at
is
a work
attracted
session
before the
rather than
waiver.
make a decision tonight. I'm not prepared to make a decision.
I think one of the differences when they're describing these leased properties, this lease contains an option to buy.
Absolutely, and I would suggest that if we do consider this, that is a strong consideration, that should they exercise the right to purchase,
Right.
we have a reconsideration of the connection fees. If we determine that we do want to waive all or part of them, because it's a leased property, but if they purchase it, it's a different situation. So that would have to be part of that.
Yeah, and which is why I'd prefer to have this discussion in a work session where we can look at all of the points of this request and determine exactly how we would respond to it. I'm not prepared to respond properly.
I made a motion, was there a second?
You second.
Is that okay?
You second this motion,
Yes,
right?
you did.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure.
We have a motion, we have a second to table. Any other questions, thoughts, input?
If we're gonna have a work session on chicken ordinance, then I think this warrants a work session as well.
We're not having one on chicken.
Oh,
Stop, he's gonna go, he's gonna work on
Rob's
it.
good on that.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, all in
Are we
favor?
going to schedule the work session, or?
Yeah, but do we know when to schedule? As soon as possible.
I would say January 9th is our next one. We'll put it on that agenda. And it may be more than 2 hours,
It's
because we
gonna-
do have
yes.
a lot of, but I think we need to make a decision.
That's fine.
Okay, so all in favor of a work session,
Aye.
January 9th? Anyone opposed? Done. So moved. Okay, under old business, thank you, gentlemen, good evening.
Thanks.
Watch your speed. The first item will be B, ANPDC Comprehensive Plan Proposal. This is, hi, how are you?
Pretty good. You have before you a proposal from November 20th with regards to the comprehensive plan update. This is not a rewrite of the comprehensive plan, but it's to go back over it. It's required by the Code of Virginia. And the ANPDC is, the Planning District Commission located in Accomack, is willing to do the work and assist your staff with it. You can see before you a schedule to have this completed by September 30th of 2014. That would be just a couple months after it turns 5 years old. And this is a not-to-exceed contract. Our particular model of charges is we actually charge what we really spend in time. So it is written as a not-to-exceed. We hope to make sure that it's less, but just in case it goes a little over, you will never have to go more than 86.20 or 86.15. Do you have any particular questions about the proposal?
Could you just explain a little bit about the matching funds,
Okay.
where they come from, and why?
Okay. The AMPDC gets 3 technical assistance grants at this time to assist our localities with varying projects. In the past, the town of Cape Charles has been the beneficiary of some of these funds when there was a broadband network that was planned and built here in the town. That was just in the last few years. There have also been times in the past where we've done housing projects. That's over 10 years, I think, now at this point. The 3 that we are using, one is the transportation. It's part of the Technical Advisory Committee. I believe they've been doing some work on, I think it's called the hump and the road, so that's one of the grants that's used to pay for that. There's also an economic development technical assistance grant we get, which we would put in because obviously you have a commercial and harbor here, so we could justify using some of those funds to do some planning for you. And finally, there is the Coastal Zone Management Technical Assistance Fund that has a very strong environmental slant, and that can take in a lot of things like, for instance, land use and that type of information since we are in a coastal zone. And so that's where those funds come from. They actually come from DEQ, VDOT, and the Economic Development Administration.
Thank you.
Okay.
And currently, we have 30,000 budgeted in our budget. And the planning commission has been working, going over different, sections, looking at the comprehensive plan, as well as Rob and I have been looking. We feel the planning commission would be a great asset for the staff and the planning commission to work to review and update and facilitate public input sessions and work with us in this upcoming review. The planning commission recently who attended the certified planning commission program was recently acknowledged for how clear and the format of our current planning, our current comp plan. So it was recognized, they used it as discussion points in the program for teaching and training. So we feel that the format is, the planning commission spent a lot of time with that in previous, and the format is very clear, and there is definitely some updates and things that have changed that need to be reviewed. So our recommendation is to work with the planning district, Accomack Northampton Planning District.
I make a motion that we authorize the town manager to execute this agreement with AMPDC for assistance with the comp plan.
Second.
Comment is, I'm glad to see this approach. I think when we're doing the budget process, we have 50,000 in there, that it was reduced to 30, and now it appears that we may get this done for 8.5. So now that's good. That's good work.
If there are no further discussions, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? So moved. Next item. Cape Charles Multi-Use Trail, Phase 2 project update.
Madam Mayor, this is an update to council. Our current update on the Phase 2 community trail project, we're at 90% design and specifications have been submitted to VDOT for review on December 2nd. The submittal incorporates the utility test hole data and the extension of the rock revetment over the storm drain outfall to correct the beach erosion at the north end problem. The overall layout is as previously presented, available at the town hall. The project cost estimate at 90% is 1.7 million, including design, engineering, construction, administration, and inspection. The federal share is 1.26 million, and the town share is 310,000 estimated at this time. This is within the budget funding budgeted in FY 2013-14 and planned for 15. We recently did a mailing to all the property owners, providing the before and after drawings to the owners on North Peach, so they can be familiar with the planned improvements, and we will be obtaining temporary construction and drainage easements from several of those property owners on Washington Avenue. And depending on VDOT's review and process, we hope to put a bid out by the spring. VDOT will come back, they'll have to approve the 100% design, then they'll have to approve the RFP submittal, and that can be timely. So we're expecting by spring to put that out to bid. So we'll be able to define, we'll have a better idea of cost estimates and moving forward to it. Any questions?
This 90% design that VDOT's reviewing, is this the first time they've seen this addition for the beach
Yes.
revetment?
Yes.
And was there any discussion between Land Studio and VDOT prior to the submittal to let them know, to get a feel for their, as to whether or not they'll accept it?
Accept it, yes, with the project manager that we had with VDOT. It was, they felt that it was within the scope, based on the work that we'd be doing on the trail, in that area, and the support that would be needed.
So they've accepted it, or
They,
we're waiting to hear whether they accept
well,
it?
they have not approved it, not
Okay.
yet. But it was within the scope prior to submitting. So we'll know once we receive that back.
Do we know when we get the comments back, does it say that?
No, I mean, typically it could be 30 days, depending on holidays and how fast they,
Do you know when it was submitted?
December 2nd,
So mid-January, probably the latest.
yeah,
Or the earliest?
or the earliest.
Well, hopefully the latest.
It's VDOT, remember.
So this is for information.
Questions? Okay, next item, modification to zoning ordinance, 4.1, sign regulations.
All right, as you're all aware, the planning commission has been working on an update to the sign regulations, section 4.1 of the zoning ordinance for quite some time. The proposed modifications are basically a complete rewrite, so it wasn't really feasible to do a red line markup, so instead we've attached the existing ones as well as the proposed updates. The draft ordinance was based off the model sign regulation ordinance in the International Zoning Code 2012. Following the joint public hearing that was held on December 10th, the Planning Commission held discussion on the matter and by unanimous vote voted to recommend approval of the sign regulations as presented to council. Just a quick rundown of some of the major changes between the existing one and this draft. The definitions in the proposed have been expanded. The definition in the proposed regulations are much more specific than those in the existing ones. Having the definitions more specific will help both in enforcement and review, and it will help anybody coming in trying to get a sign permit knowing what exactly will be allowed and what's not. The proposed regulations include a visual aid that represents the different types of signs and shows the acres to be, or areas to be included when calculating the signage area. Again, it'll be helpful for both staff and applicants reviewing any possible sign applications that will come in. There's a section for general provisions in the proposed regulations. Sets forth requirements for signs in right-of-ways, projections over public right-of-ways, traffic visibility and computation of the frontage, maintenance, etc. This part of the proposed, or part of the regulation isn't in the existing one at all. Let's see, the sizes and types of signs allowed, including temporary signs in each district, is more specific in the proposed ordinance. Also includes specifications for signage and development complexes over 8 acres in size, which would require a master sign plan. One of the major change in the proposed compared to the existing would deal with enforcement of the ordinance. Currently, if a sign is found to be in violation, the zoning administrator is authorized to issue a violation letter. If it's not corrected within the time period that the zoning administrator specifies, that person is then in violation of a Class 4 misdemeanor, and if convicted, subject to a fine of $10 to $250 per day until the violation is corrected. It seems the problem with this route of enforcement, it's written out in the ordinance, but this type where it jumps directly from writing a letter to you're guilty of a Class 4 misdemeanor, especially in small towns, it's kind of hard to do that to people that you see every day. You want to be able to work with them, and the proposed one kind of gives us that leverage. In the proposed ordinance, if a sign is in violation, the zoning administrator can issue or will issue a violation notice. If the violation is not corrected within 10 days, the zoning administrator is then authorized to remove the sign at the expense of the owner. It takes care of the problem, gets the sign out, and keeps you from having to deal with all the court process of it. And just as a reminder that the regulations put forth in the proposed sign regulations, as well as those in the existing one, it does not attempt to regulate the messages, the wording, anything to be placed in the signs. It only regulates sizes, locations where they can be, trying to restrict any type of wording would go into the freedom of speech, and it's not allowed by the sign regulations.
I have a question. Have you gotten a legal opinion of this ordinance?
Yes. We sent it off before the joint public hearing. They sent back 2 small comments on it. We incorporated those into it before the joint public hearing on the 10th.
Okay. Now, I heard you verbally kind of correct the part, but this last bullet point on the page, it says currently if a sign is found to be in violation, the zoning administrator is authorized to issue a letter of violation. If not corrected, the person in violation is then, and here it says the word guilty.
That's
Not proven guilty, guilty as in violated.
Well, when you read it, I wonder why that, I think that's more choice of language. Why isn't that charged or?
that's the way it's worded in the current ordinance.
It's a current.
How can you write a letter and then the person is guilty of a Class 4 misdemeanor, then you put comma, and if convicted? It sounds like you've already convicted them if you're stating that they're guilty.
Is that language in the new ordinance too?
Yes. Well, no, that's what's
You've
in
got kind
section
of innocent
2.
until proven guilty around here, aren't we still?
Maybe that's something to review in the rest of the zoning ordinance. That's actually not
That sounds
part.
pretty draconian. I mean,
That's
I
not part of
looked at
the sign
language.
regulations. That's part of section 2.4.3, which is just violations of any zoning ordinance. So maybe that's something that we need to look at too, is section 2.
I find it hard to believe that past legal, that if you write the letter, then they are guilty, and then you go back and get convicted. So it sounds like you got some jurisprudence missteps going on.
That's part of what, I guess what we plan on doing in the near future here, is just going through the zoning ordinance in its entirety, finding sections that need updating, and that one might be something that's worth a look. Because that's word for word how it's written in the existing ordinance.
Anybody over there share any concern about?
I didn't read it that way.
Frank, no, wait,
Because-
that's the old ordinance, what I see under the
But
proposed
he's carrying it,
ordinance.
so he's carrying it forward, right?
No,
No?
No, that
under the
part. won't
proposed
be-
ordinance, the sign is violation, you'll issue a violation notice if it's not corrected within 10 days. The administrator is authorized to remove the sign at the expense of the owner. The old information is
But
removed.
if there is a town ordinance that uses that same language, we need to look at that.
Those have to be looked at also.
And
But
then-
it's not in-
and then
but
the
it's
other-
not in this
and
one.
The other
Takes
part,
it
I
out of
think
this
there's supposed to be a rub is, you just automatically go on private property and confiscate personal property?
After giving proper notice, letting the person know that they're in violation and that it needs to be corrected within 10 days.
Unless it's a safety issue, right? If there's health and safety
Right,
issues,
right.
where you could remove it immediately if it was deemed to be a health or safety issue. But then that's just rendered in a protocol, I think.
Anyway,
Got you. I don't think that's where most of our violations occur, Frank.
Well, just during election time, they do.
you start, you go on private property, you're gonna run into problems.
Well, you do it all the time, Frank, come on now.
But we'll put that in the chicken ordinance too about.
Okay, well, yeah, what if a person has one chicken more than the future ordinance allows? Would you, go on their private property and remove that chicken?
That would be
No, this
to be
is-
determined on how we would
Isn't
write
this
the
on
enforcement.
signs?
We're on signs.
Signs, Frank?
No, but we're talking about private property.
No, we're talking about signs,
I
okay.
make a motion.
Please do.
What's the motion?
We approve?
To approve the new sign ordinance.
Second.
All in
Wait a
favor?
minute, when I finish discussing,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Rob, I think, I'd like to thank you and the planning commission for this, because I think it's a lot of work, and I think you did a great job. I also apologize for missing the public hearing. I had one comment on it that may be in here, but I haven't seen it, and we don't have to find it tonight, but if it is, fine, and if it isn't, maybe just make a note for the next time you update it. Under temporary signs, I've seen the definition of a temporary sign, and under the temporary sign paragraph, it indicates how big they are and how many you can have, but it doesn't, I haven't seen anywhere where it says how long they can stay up. If they're temporary, the definition says it's of a specified duration, but I don't see where it says in here when they have to be down. And again, I don't want to find it tonight.
Real estate, 7 days.
It's real estate,
Well, that's under temporary.
but other temporary signs, I guess, it's paragraph F, other temporary signs.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
One opposed.
It's a move with the one opposed. The last action item, Virginia Waterman's Memorial Easement. Good evening. How are you?
Fine, how y'all doing? I was sorry I was late. I thought it was 7. I've been riding around town killing time. And I rode, when I come down here, I was looking at all the Christmas lights and I saw all the cars. I said, uh-oh.
You're fine.
I suppose you got the emails. I have a hard copy if you want it for your records, or do you rather keep computer records, or do you want those?
We did receive
Yeah,
it,
we all
the
have.
hard
Okay.
copy.
The proposal?
For the record, would you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Edward Lewis. I'm a former Cape Charles person. I left here in '66. I'm president of Virginia Waterman's Memorial Association. That we're hoping is going to be built here on the harbor. It's going to be something that the town and the state of Virginia can be very proud of. Actually, I don't know if I brought it up before. This monument has been approved by the state. They thought we were going to put it in Oyster, but because of the seclusion of everything in Oyster now and unprotected by law enforcement or anything like that, Cape Charles is a more ideal location, which I think we all agree. So anyway, we've been trying for 12 years. I've been coming over here once a month for meetings, and it looks like it's going to hopefully take place. The drawing I sent you on the email was just one that I had done for the engineer, and I have the official engineer's drawings. If you're interested in seeing them, I give a copy to Tom Baldetto. Is he here? Is he here tonight?
He's retired. We have Rob.
I've talked with Rob.
Okay.
I give Tom a copy of them, and that was before he retired. When he retired in July, I think. So anyway, but I can get Rob a copy. I've been talking to Rob on the phone. In fact, I guess when he was growing up, he was my neighbor. I didn't even know it.
Eastern Shore.
No, not Eastern Shore. When he was growing up, we both lived off the same road in Chesapeake, just about a mile and a half apart. So,
So we did receive the bid for $10 for 40 years.
40-year
From
easement.
the Friends of the Virginia Watermen's Memorial. And that was, the bids closed today, and we've only received one bid. The design will have to go through the Harbor District review.
right, understand.
Moving forward, and the action tonight is to accept the bid received for the Friends of Virginia Watermen's Memorial by granting an ordinance. And the easement for the memorial is actually the draft is in your packet and is still under review with legal, and that would be finalized prior to executing the easement if council chooses to award.
I move that we approve the adoption of the ordinance and grant the easement to the Watermen's Memorial on that action parcel.
Second.
Does that need to be amended to accept the bid as well?
Oh, well, we accept your bid, yes.
I have the picture that I emailed over one thing, thank you for accepting everything, but if anybody hasn't seen what the Cape Charles Lighthouse looks like, I mean, I know, somebody will probably see it from the bridge tunnel, I don't know if you've seen official pictures of it. Got the river tank out there, but that's not a real good replica. This is a picture of what the Smith Island Light looks like. It's actually Cape Charles Light on Smith Island. And we're gonna come as close to that as we can. It's gonna be 16 foot tall on top of a 3-foot pedestal, so it'd be really a beautiful marker for the harbor in addition to the other things that we'll have on it.
Definitely a plus for this town.
It's gonna be beautiful.
We're thankful you found your way from Oyster.
Well, I was misled, ma'am.
I mean,
I was,
it's that kind of night, isn't it?
I was told that the town wasn't interested in it, and so I
All
was
that
misled.
rumor stuff.
I know, and when I found out that y'all were, I was just as happy as I could be, because this is where I'd rather come anyway, being from Cape Charles. And like I say, this is gonna represent the whole state, and there's a lot of states that have memorials, but none of them is gonna be as reverent as this one, except maybe New Jersey's. Theirs is beautiful also, and it's a woman standing with one baby in her arms and a little girl beside her, looking out to sea, waiting for her husband to come home. And it brings, I've been there 4 times now, and it brings tears to my eyes every time I go there. And we're hoping this is gonna be as nice, with the little boy standing, looking out into the harbor for his dad to come home, buy an empty pair of boots.
I saw, yeah, I remember.
Have any other questions, or where do I proceed to from here?
Any other questions?
I only have a question about making sure that we're clear on parking. This all works fine with the parking?
Yeah.
And it's not gonna interfere with the shanty? It's far enough,
It's already a circle there.
Yes, I understand that. I just wanted to make sure.
Good.
That was my understanding.
Clerk, we have a motion?
Yes?
We have a second,
And we have an ordinance.
and we need a roll call vote for adoption of ordinance
You left out the
2013.
draft ordinance.
It's a draft
No,
ordinance.
no, the ordinance is not a draft. The easement's the draft.
The easement,
The
yeah.
ordinance is not.
Okay, so we need a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance 2013-1219. And I'm going to forego reading that. Roll call, please.
Natalie, yes.
Bennett, yes.
Bannon, yes.
Sullivan, yes.
Wendell, yes.
Bravo. So moved.
And you have your
You
easement.
have your easement,
Well, no,
easy.
they'll have that, it's not
Thank you.
executed
Well,
yet, but-
Now,
We have
thank
the
you.
approval.
Thank
you
you.
have approval.
All right, at this time, hopefully no one will leave sick. This is the section where we do 5 minutes, the mayor and the council get to vent and say what they want to say. We had such a light evening, we're just not used to it, it's lovely. I would like to start first, because I can. I would like to wish a very, very hearty farewell to our chief, no present, who is retired. Today is D-Day, right?
Oh, is it?
We're going to have a party, not doing it now, we have presents, we're not doing it now.
That'll work, that'll work.
Work, okay, that'll work.
And he's here till the end of the
Everything.
month, by the way.
31st is official day.
I know, but this is our last meeting, which means you,
I can come in non-uniform next time.
I know, but you
You're tormented.
and you have to watch your speed.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. That's all I had to say. Council, your turn.
The only thing that I wanted to say was, I attended the Wetlands Board meeting yesterday, and we almost didn't have it because we didn't have a quorum until 10 after. And so I was wondering if it wouldn't be appropriate for us to review the number of members of our committees and boards, and where it might be appropriate, add additional count so that, I mean, we changed the planning commission a while back. So that we had 7 members, but we only need 4 for a quorum. And try to look at the other committees and boards that we have and see if we have more than enough, or if there's any changes that need to be made to try to make sure that we don't run into this on a regular basis. I understand
It's
every
uncommon,
once
isn't it?
in a while, a couple of people have personal commitments and they just can't make it. But if it's because, we require 3 out of 5 to be there, that may be a little bit too tight.
Right.
So I'd like that to be considered.
We'll look into that. I think at this time, well, we'll look into this specifically the wetlands, but I think it's already allowable to have alternate.
Okay.
And if that's, we won't have to change any.
Just implement it.
Just
so-
implement
Okay,
it, but we'll definitely report back on that.
that'd be great.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a couple things, a question, I guess, to start with, if I can answer this. In regard to watching your speed and speeding tickets, this subject's come up to me a couple times. How much, if anything, does the town get back out of a speeding ticket?
We get 80% when we write it on a title ordinance of the speeding fine, not the court call.
80%, and how many, what percent are written on the town ordinance? Most all?
And about all of our speeding tickets are.
Okay. I was curious about that.
Any tickets that are written that require a lawyer is not normally written on town ordinance, because we have the Commonwealth attorney will not prosecute the case on the town ordinance. We have to get our own attorney to prosecute.
Okay, now I'm confused, but anyway.
Well, when you write something on a town ordinance, the Commonwealth attorney represents only the Northampton County and the Commonwealth of Virginia. He does not prosecute charges on any town ordinance.
Well, I'll rephrase my question. On an average year, what does the town,
But
revenue?
anywhere from 12 to 18,000.
Thank you.
Exmoor's 200 and something.
I was gonna say, unlike
280.
other localities, they can, fund their whole department.
Well, that puts it in context.
There you go.
Other comment, I was really pleased to see the ordinance memorial, and I guess it's other, and I think that's great work, and it's gonna be a great addition to the harbor, and great cause. However, I guess I can't help but comment that, anybody reading the Eastern Shore News has seen recently that there's going to be there's an Eastern Shore Waterman's Museum that's recently opened on the shore. And I wish we could have gotten that as well. However, it has gone to the town of Anacott, and it's gone in their old school. And those are the type of opportunities and cultural things that we forego when we choose an apartment house over such endeavors. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
And then my closing comment, I'd like to concur with the mayor. I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday season, great time here. I hope everybody gets to spend plenty of time with their family and loved ones. So,
Well, thanks to you and your generosity, you gave, yes, you all voted for an extra day for staff. I was having a very bah humbuggy mood that day.
You don't have to vote.
Oh, that's right, I don't vote, sorry. So they will have a nice, long vacation with their families.
And they greatly appreciate it.
I know they do. And and they will come back all rested, ready to work.
I'd like to say that for this year, I think from the 7 days before Christmas, Santa Claus should be exhausted. The 12 days before Christmas, Santa Claus should be exhausted to come to Cape Charles. I would say this past year, between the grant in the summertime, where the brain could not comprehend what was going on all the time in the town, and the number of people that came in, and the 12 days before Christmas, so much going on. And to see all these different groups come together and produce a fantastic product, and see the volunteers that came forward. Progressive Dinner was absolutely, again, was spectacular.
It's the best.
So everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Do you have anything to add?
Also, my Epiphany party is on the 11th, if anybody wants to come, of January. You bring your least favorite Christmas present, we auction it off, and this year it'll be for Arts Enter Cape Charles. I serve chili, I buy wine and some beer, but bring your own wine and beer if you want. And just let's get it up to about $10,000 this year.
And bring a dessert or.
Or bring a dessert or a nibble.
And for those of you, you have to come if you've never been before. He gets to pick, it's his event, so he gets to pick who gets the money. It's always a charity.
In town.
And in
Or a
town,
sick person on the
always.
shore.
Right,
Did you
right.
state where it's gonna be held?
At the fire station, where the new bathrooms have been finished, so it's enjoyable to go to the bathroom now. But there will be no kitchen.
Right.
The kitchen is being ripped out by volunteers again. There will be a hot plate to keep the chili warm. So,
You're right,
Oh.
grand event, you'll love it if you've never.
last year was about 150. Okay.
So, that being said, the town offices will be closed January the 1st. Then we start with work session on the 9th, and then on the 16th, we will meet here again, God willing.
And we will have a budget schedule by the end of January for our budget discussions.
And tomorrow is the luncheon for the staff, which we do every year, so the town hall will be closed just for a little bit.
During the day.
During the
3.5
day.
days.
Yes. No, for tomorrow, for the luncheon. That being said, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Hearing no objections.